and Shelley Johnson.
Hi, everyone.
So, exciting day, right, Chris?
Yeah, very exciting.
It's been like months in the work, and we've been talking about this, right?
That's right. I think it's been 4 months at least, 3 or 4 months.
October, November range. So we've been talking about it for quite a while. So tell us a little bit about you. I know you've been in real estate for quite a while, and you've never moved. This is your first move from your original brokerage. So tell us more about you that people wouldn't know much about you.
Okay. Well, I came from a retail background, and I've only worked 2 jobs my whole life. Well, not high school, but as far as my career after college. So I don't really move around a lot. I like to stay. I'm pretty loyal. I like to stay at a place if nothing's broke. And I love the company I was at. I mean, the broker was a friend of mine before real estate, so I've known him a long time. And there was nothing. It's a great company, but I was just looking for something more for my team to grow. The technology, all the benefits at EXP that I looked at, I couldn't find a lot of flaws with it. So that's the main reason that I decided to come over. And like you said, I've never moved before, it's a weird feeling, changing everything. I've heard other people talk about it. They're like, hey, we had to change this, we had to change that. Don't forget to change this, that. And I didn't know what it was like until this week. And it's definitely something I don't want to do a lot. So I look at this as pretty much a long-term place to be. And I definitely want to, and everything I've seen so far, like I said, was really good. And I think I'll be here the rest of my career.
Yeah. So this is Shelley Johnson too. I forgot to introduce her in the beginning. So she's with EXP and the Impact organization that she's created. So the nice thing is having the upline that we do of all the other, everybody pouring in and helping each other and so forth. And I know, Chris, you've had several conversations with Shelley over the months, and along with Gene Frederick and quite a few others. So Shelley, you want to pipe in?
Sure. So Chris, with your success in the industry, how many years have you been in the industry? Is it 17 years?
This is about 17th year, right? Correct.
Yeah. And your production level, you have a team, you do great production, you're really respected in the market of Maryland. You serve on, is it the GBAR?
The Harford County Board of Realtors. I'm the president. I'm the president this year, and I've served on it for 10 years. So I believe in giving back to the industry. I want to take care of the industry, make sure our industry is still there. So I believe it makes you happy when you give back and see other people grow and see other people advance. And that's what I've always done, even in my previous job in retail. So I'm not a stranger to having people work with me. I had 250 employees when I was working in retail, and now I have 10. But it's at least those 10 I can focus on really hard and make sure. I want to see everyone succeed, really.
Well, I think that's when we talked before. One of the things you're used to with Lowe's, when you worked there, you had ESOP with the stock opportunity. So when you seen EXP with stock opportunity, you're like, holy crap, I was kind of used to this before as a manager. So talk a little bit about what attracted you to that as well. And when you seen it, I was like, wow, this is probably one of the first and only real estate company I've seen that's offered that.
That was really the most exciting thing I saw off the bat, because I remember when I was at Lowe's, how well that worked and how people bought into the company and believed in the company because they owned part of it. And they used to give, back then they gave you stock depending on how many hours you worked and what your pay was that year. And we also had the discount program where we could buy stock at a discount, and I used to max that out. So when I saw this, it reminded me of that, and that there was a lot of young people who worked at that company for 15 years and had major 401k funds when they left because of putting in the stock, buying the stock at discount. When you buy it out of your check, out of your commission check, you don't miss it. And if you don't do it, you're crazy, because you don't miss that, and it's going to grow and grow and grow, and you're going to be really happy you did it at the end of the day.
And when we had conversations with people like Shelley that's been in for 3.5, 4 years, and you're looking at their stock portfolio now, we're like, holy crap, wish I would have got in 2, 3, 4 years ago, but we didn't. So now we're at the point where we got to build it from scratch. So I think the advantages of the stock itself, much less what you mentioned, getting it at a discount, using that 5% of your income and buying it at a 10% discount is huge. What other things that had attracted you to it after you looked at it for those months?
Well, really, real estate agents. It's weird. Like it's the only industry I've known that they really don't think about the benefits for the agents. I mean, just national, like the healthcare program. Like I've always had to do an independent healthcare program, which is really expensive when you have a small group of people, or if you have like someone who's older on your team or on your plan, and you only have 3 or 4 people, then it's not going to be as cheap as if you have 40,000 people or whatever it is, because it averages out the cost. So that was a big thing. The stock equity, the revenue share, the technology is phenomenal. I've been playing on EXP World as a guest before I even, for weeks before I decided to come over. And it's amazing. I thought that really that I would have slow support or less support, but you walk into a room virtually and someone greets you almost as soon as you get in there. Like, do you need something? Do you need help? It's almost instantaneous support that I never imagined really that was going to be the plus of the company. So.
It's cool how whenever we walk in the world, I mean, I remember one time you and I walked in there together just to kind of see how things worked. And Jim walked out of wherever meeting he was in just to talk to you and be like, hey, how can I help you? And you're like just blown away at how quick that was. And we were able to get some answers answered right off the bat. Just so much time leverage. I mean, that's the one thing we lack in our industry is time. We have to wear a lot of hats and do a lot of things really well at a high level for successful. And a successful agent needs as much time and leverage support as possible. And I think that, we're knowing you, Chris, and like your personality and how much you love on your agents and your clients. And I know that, for you, that's really valuable, especially being involved as the president of Harford County Association of Realtors.
Right. Yeah. And one thing I didn't believe about that you guys kept saying was that and I found this out recently, especially last night, I went to sleep thinking about it and I woke up thinking about it. And it was like, and I had a horrible, horrible things happen. Like I lost my phone, got broken. I was moving all day, and I still was thinking about things at night, and then the next morning, again. So it's like I think it's lit a fire under me, and I think my team is going to benefit big from that because there's a lot I want to share with them. There's a lot of things I want to do with them, and I think that you become complacent when you stay somewhere too long. And this is like a renewed energy that I think that it's just going to pass down to them. And I really was big on not moving if my team didn't see the value and didn't want to. So that's why it took me a long time. I know I talked to you guys a lot, and I had, Shelley even come on and talk to my team, which was great. I mean, what other company can you do that? Have someone who is in another state talk to your people about their experiences. And that's what I feel like everyone at EXP I've talked to anywhere has been willing to help, even if I don't even know them or I'm probably not even associated with them or partnered up with them. It's still like everyone wants to help like a family. It still has that small feel and not the big corporate feel.
Yeah, everybody benefits from the stock. As it grows and you see that and you're like, all right, we all want it to grow and go in a positive direction. So, and I know that, when you said about complacency, you had sat down and talked to some of your agents and you found out one of them was almost ready to leave.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, thank God, maybe I was looking at the right time because you may have lost them. So you just don't know what people, are going through at the time. And, as we get more, as this snowball keeps growing, and that's what we're seeing is like, all right, well, tell me why all of a sudden that, what interested you? So, and we're hearing more and more, like I'm getting more text messages and more Facebook messages, like, give me a little bit more information on this. So there's definitely an interest in seeing that, all right, when I left Remax or KW and stuff, I didn't have any stock. I don't have any stock from that anymore, unfortunately. But here you'll have stock to move forward. And I think that's probably one of the things that lit up your eyes as well, especially with coming from Lowe's and having that background already.
Right. And I think the website, I've heard a lot about the website, and I have some pretty techie agents that really want like the social media, the technology that it's out there. They want the best they can get. And they've really been impressed so far. And that's another thing. You can take so many training classes at your leisure through the EXP World, which that's hard to find. I mean, especially when you don't have to, you can even go to them after they've already been conducted live and check, watch them later. And that's hard. I mean, without having like a classroom in this day and age with COVID, I mean, you can't really go to an in-person class anymore. So to be able to do it virtually, and it's not something they just set up real quick. They've been doing it that way. And that's been the way they've done it. And this just happened to be this year fit their model. Like it's sad to say it had to take something like that, but they were really set up for it, and didn't have to change gears completely and come up with a new model or a new system to accommodate people.
You know, what's really interesting, like we talked about EXP World, a lot of people don't really understand what that virtual world looks like. And well, Zoom's virtual, but the difference is we have 650 live employees waiting to help support you in the world. So basically it's like you open your laptop up and you walk in there, you're basically walking into an office. So whether it's accounting, tech support, or getting real live training from top agents across the country who do, like you and Lee, tons of volume with your teams, you know, that cross collaboration at such a high level is powerful. And I know it's impacted my business and my husband, Craig, my business partner's business. Craig, our business together and our team, we've grown tremendously just from having all of the support and being able to take that training and learn from agents that do a ton of transactions. And I know, you know, we all level up together. I love what Lee says, you know, when you're reaching back and pulling everybody up over the wall, you know, to be able to build each other up. I mean, we're all top agents on this call. And if I didn't know Lee, I wouldn't know you, Chris. And I mean, the conversations you and I've had together, and we've all had together as the three of us, I know that it's improved my business and how I think as a business person in this industry. So all of that's huge, and you can't really put a price on that.
Right.
Yeah. And when like Shelley going into impact organization, you know, talk to like some of the ones that are watching, so they have some like a knowledge of, here you just came back from Puerto Rico, that you did a women's group of like, what are you offering as masterminds, and you got Brent and others there. So
yeah, so I just got back last night from being in Puerto Rico. We had 10 top women in real estate masterminding for 3 straight days. It was fun. I mean, we got some great camaraderie. It was just something I kind of pulled together because I had been down there and I thought it would be fun to have a group together. And people were like, "Hey, I want to come see you." I was like, "Great, we'll all get together and do it all together." But it keeps expanding my mind. I'm like, "Okay, great. Well, we're going to do that. Now what's next? What are we going to do to help everybody grow?" And so we do that. Impact organization, we're doing a 70-day challenge with the agents to help impact their health, their wealth, and their family. And I know that like everyone on this right now, that's our core values, like our family and our health and doing better for ourselves, and also having the financial security for a future that we don't have to work as hard when we get to be 75 years old. We have something that, you know, when all that hard work we've done while we're our age now, we have a future for that. So we've done that. We have training in there as well, like real live training where Leo teaches how he's done 467 transactions with his team this year. Like, how do you do that? You know, or, you know, some of the other people in our organization, like Jennifer Pratt down in Charleston, she's a single individual agent, or Meg Watson, or so many great agents in our group are doing great things. And we're all collaborating, cross sharing. And it's been amazing. And creating systems for onboarding and all of that type of stuff too.
I've got a lot of challenges, and I love challenges, especially like when I go to the gym. If there's a challenge, like I'm going to win. I'm going to try to win, and I'm not going to let someone down. And like the first day or so I was involved in this, there was a 70-day challenge, and I was like, oh my God, the pressure's on. So but I did it. And the most impressive thing is the things that I put in my challenge, I didn't think people would really like look at and check up on me. And sure enough, a couple of times already, Shelley's asked me or noticed what I've done just because it was social media related. And she said, I see you hit your stories today for Instagram. Like, she actually noticed and checked up and held accountable. Amazing to me. I mean, so
and collaboration is huge, and accountability. I mean, that's what we all need. Like, everybody wants accountability, but then when they get it, they're like, I don't know about that. You know, like, well, you said you wanted it, and most of us need it. And like, I know I need it as well as everybody else. I wouldn't be getting up at 4:50 in the morning if I wasn't accountable. I was meeting a trainer in the morning and other people in my group. I'm like,
and a football player at that, you can't disappoint him.
yeah. I mean, well, and it leads back to giving back, Chris. I mean, when I think of you with the board, and then also RPAC, I know how many times I'd get calls from you and so forth, but nobody always wanted to get it. Hey, do you want to do a donation? But RPAC is so important, and I think that needs to be talked about more, because I know I've been a major donor for years, but I know long term, like, I want our organization of realtors to do really well and not be taxed to death any more than we already are, or any other benefits that coming across. So you want to talk on that a second?
Yeah, those are tough calls to make. I mean, we're calling people that are busy, and now they don't even answer my call. I have to like call from another number. But it's around the time that they know that we're looking. When we have we stopped telling them when we have a phone bank, and I said, well, we can't publicize when the phone bank is, because then that day no one's going to answer my call. So, but it's a tough call to make. But it's not really. We don't call it donation. It's an investment. It's an investment in the industry, and it's an investment in fighting for homeownership rights. And we've been down to I've been down to the state, Annapolis, and fought the tags and fought whatever comes up, the septic regulations. I mean, there's always something. If you don't stand up and speak for yourself, for your industry, they will take it. It'll be taken away from you. The luxuries that we have in this business. And I mean, we have a lot of expenses. It's not like we go to work and we don't have to spend any money on advertising or tools to do our job. We have to spend a lot there. So then on top of that, to be taxed more is just, it's crushing, and you can't really make a living at that point. So It's very important. And I don't mind going down there. Just give me $20 towards our pack, and I'll leave you alone. But
It takes money. It takes money to protect those rights. When you need to lobby or to protect your industry, you have to have the support of the group, the majority, to help protect it. And by everybody working together, I love that Chris is such a steward of our industry, because it's a lot of work for you personally. Like I know you said, you're like, imagine if I had all that time that I spend working to help all of our agents together. And I think that, when a person does that and puts themselves in the position of, I'm going to steward this and lead this for all of us, I think that that's very powerful. And I mean, I'm in North Carolina, but I appreciate your service, because I know that it funnels down, because all these different states talk about what the legislation is going to be, and we have similar things here. So, think about that too, as being one firm within EXP. We have more collaboration to help protect our industry. So, because we are more linked together. Before, like if something was going on in North Carolina, you probably didn't really care what was going on in Charlotte, North Carolina, really. I mean, you cared more of a local level, but now we're across the whole nation, helping each other, tied together, and we all have a vested interest to help our futures.
Oh yeah, I mean, the last 3 years I've gone to the National Association convention. I went to San Francisco. Before, we didn't have one this year, and it's supposed to be in New Orleans, but because of COVID, they couldn't do it. So I went to San Francisco. I went to Boston the year before that. I mean, I've seen the national board meetings. It's amazing too. The people that do that stuff are really, they really care about the industry. I mean, because it's a lot of time. But that's another thing. Like, I figured I'm spending a lot of time, but if I can leverage through technology at EXP, I'm not going to be spending the same time I spent with real estate. Because I can streamline stuff and make it more efficient. So that's a big thing that's going to allow me to have more free time, and more free time to get either to do something I want to do that's not work related, or just to do more business. I mean, you reach a point where you've done so much business one way that you can't do it without changing some things.
Right.
Leverage and collaboration. I think masterminding, that's some of the stuff that we talked about, is like, all right, we're anxious to open this new office too, to have the brick and mortar and all the people that are coming on. I think that we're going to have just a ton of energy there, and just everybody pouring into each other. Like, how do we all help each other? And just a good group of people. So I'm excited about. So I think that Brent's saying making real estate exciting again. Yeah, all right. I wake up more excited than I've been in quite a while. It's like, all right, you love life, but you get bored of doing the same thing the same way. Of course, COVID made it not so boring, because then you're trying to refigure out what you're doing, how you're doing it, and so forth. So that kind of leads into EXP's platform. And, some of the agents, I know when you looked at it, you're like, is this almost like too good to be true?
Right.
I'm already doing these things, and I'm going to be given stock for doing them now. So, just like the revenue share.
And I'm still getting people, like even this week, saying, because I announced on Friday, so all weekend and today, people were like, well, why did you go there? Like, it's almost like, and I like that kind of, that it's known enough that where people have heard of it, but they don't really know. They're still naysayers. And that's when you're early on in a company, because there's still enough people to know what it is. But like 3 years ago here, it wasn't really as popular, or not many people knew about it. So now it's like people know about it, they're curious about it, and they want to know why you would go there. And it's you kind of have to defend it, but when you learn about it, if you just open, like someone said, the most expensive thing you can have is a closed mind.
Cliff.
That's true. If you don't open your mind up and at least listen, and believe me, I've been recruited a lot, and everyone is in real estate. But I mean, through the 17 years, I've told a lot of people, no, I'm not moving. I'm staying where I'm at. I'm not going to move. I'm never going to move. Yeah. But when you see something that you give it a chance and you really listen to it, I had to listen a couple of times, maybe more than that, but to really hear it. And you hear something different every time I listen to something. Even now, even after I've already decided to come, I'm still listening to people and hearing new things every day. Yeah.
I was going back in the Go-Getters thing that AJ did with the Kajabi course, and he played 2019 Vegas Mastermind, and it was like 20,000 agents, and they were saying, all right, I know everybody's thinking, am I too late? Am I too late? And I'm like, now I'm 46,000 agents, and we're still hearing people like, oh, am I too late? I'm like, no, actually, the stock, the good thing, the stock's taken a little bit of a dip lately. So now's a good time to buy again. That's what, I was buying some more.
I figured you're probably pretty excited about that, Lee. When we saw that, I was going to text you, like, did you buy more stock?
Yeah. So, where else are you getting that feeling, much less like, all right, and I don't want the stock for tomorrow. I want it for 3, 5, 10 years later. Like, all right, now we need to make a big purchase or want to buy something else. Can you do it? Or, hey, that's a big chunk for retirement. I mean, look what that grows to over the years. I mean, I talk Shelley's numbers and so forth, and you look at Gene Frederick or some of the other ones that got in, they got in so early, but now the roads are paved much much better, much smoother roads, and everybody gets in a little bit easier. I just think of, how many the opportunities that are there. I mean, I think that's what you were saying, Chris, is like, all right, what are you taking out of it more so than anything else or anything that we didn't hit?
But the other thing I like too is, one of the things I hear the most is there's no brick and mortar, and then you guys are going to be in a brick and mortar office. Well, that's not really, the brick and mortar is corporate office. I mean, so they reduced a lot of expenses by clearing out the middle people, and now there's just the top and then the agent. So there's all that money in between, and that's why the revenue share is so great, because that comes off the top instead of the bottom, and that's why it's easier to do. And I think I get a lot of people are concerned about not having a brick and mortar company to go to, and I work better too in an office, and that's why going into an office with other top teams and agents was a great idea, and that sealed the deal for me. If I didn't do that, I'm not sure if I would have went now. I probably would have held on a little longer, but I couldn't. When we talked about that opportunity, I really couldn't pass up, because I knew the kind of energy that would be in that building. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it's go ahead, Shelley.
I was just going to say, it's so funny, like when you can find a path. I mean, it's just being creative. I mean, we're all entrepreneurs here, and it's getting creative on what your plan is. And there's always a place where you can land. When we first joined, we went over to a new home construction, a new home sales model, and we worked out there for a few months, until we found our spot, because we were so excited about the company and being a part of it. And the truth of the matter is, I work 90% out of my home. I get more done, and I'm just very productive at home. I know some people have kids or other distractions that could prohibit that, but I find most agents are in the office are mostly just, for me, I've seen more of like collaboration, like more just hanging out, because when I'm at the office, I'm there to work. Like Lee always says, he's like, if you're not working for your family, you probably ought to go home and spend time with them.
Right. No fake work.
Yeah.
Anything else, Chris, that we're missing out on or leaving that, like just from that mindset? Because I'm thinking, we started talking like October, like, hey, take a look at this. And then, we're in March. So what was, because nothing's, especially after 17 years, you're not looking at it and be like, all right, I'm ready to move. And we've had a couple people that have done that too. But because they know, like, they look at it, I think of some people that said, hey, I've seen it, and you can't unsee it after you've seen it. Yeah. Like, right. So
staying up all night, even though his phone got crushed yesterday. I can't even imagine what you must be feeling about losing your phone. And the day you're going to move companies after 17 years, your phone gets crushed, and you're like, okay, now what do I do?
If anybody wants to contact me, make sure you Facebook message me. Right now, I don't have access to a phone. But you guys, I never gave up. That's one thing I don't do. When there's a problem, I'm going to find a solution, and I'm not going to freak out about it. It's just, and like Lee said, things happen. You got to move on. So I'm moving on the best I can do until I know there's an end in sight. My feather's been shipped and it'll be here tomorrow. But right now, today, it's not very fun. But I still went on about my day. I mean, I still did my appointments. I was still able to find other ways to communicate with people. And that's what you have to do. I mean, when you have problems, you have to find solutions. That's what we do. That's what we do all day long selling real estate. Our clients have problems. They want to sell their house. They want to buy a house. There's all kinds of obstacles right now. So how do you deal with them? Anyone can put a sign up in the yard and get the house under contract. But what do you do when there's an issue along the way between contract and settlement? How do you take care of those issues?
Yeah.
And that's what we get paid. I mean, that's really where the value is. When you have someone who knows what to do, then you're gonna maximize your profits.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's problem solving is what we get paid for the most. Just knowing, hey, you can see what's going to be coming. As many transactions as you do, you're like, all right, I know what's going to happen next. You can predict what's going to happen for the most part. COVID, we couldn't predict, and we didn't expect what last April and May brought. But here, look at how busy it is with inventory being 25-30% of what it would normally be. So I know Shelley's got to jump in a minute.
And going through cycles too. I always tell people I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
So you know how it's going to end. I mean, so I think I just made excuses the whole time since October, and because it's a painful thing to think about, changing everything. I mean, changing everything that you have, and we have a list at the office, myself and my assistant, things to change, like change over addresses for this. We have it's like a page long now of things to change, but it's really not that hard once you get going. Shelley, I know you have to.
And in a week, you're basically going to be like it's going to be over with. Like those changes are so small in comparison to like the huge reward that comes from being a part of the company. I mean, when you start getting your first revenue share and your first stock, and you're keeping more of your money for the future, and you're doing this collaboration, it's just small. Like it's a small gap that we jump over, and then we're on the other side of it. I know Lee made that transition, and a number of others, and it's just a moment in time for a better opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I love. I can ask Lee, like, what happened? How'd you do this? And then John came over, Kantorski, and I said, John, what did you do here? How did you do this? Because we've all followed in a line, and we have each other to talk to and problem solve with.
It's been awesome.
And then having the concierge and everything else at EXP is like you have people to fall back on, but it's also you're not just left floundering out there. Somebody's already helping. I'm like, I get several text messages like, hey, what about this? I'm like, all right. If I can't get it, then I'm like, Shelley, you need some help, or we need to go to AJ or Cliff or whoever else.
Lean on each other, and it happens, and we do more business. I mean, it's crazy. I really thought I was going to be on the island. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to move. This company was so small when Craig and I moved. It was like 2,600 agents. I'm like, we're going to be on the island. What are we going to do? And I remembered having that moment of feeling. But like you said, there's always the people that helped you come make the decision. They're always there with you along the way, kind of, for that couple days, and then you're in. So. But awesome, guys. I'm going to go because I have an appointment I have to be at, but I love that you're with us. I'm so excited, Chris. You've been a blast to get to know, and I know we're going to do huge things together, and I love working with Lee. I mean, I feel honored to work with all of you guys. I'm just like, and I get to be the girl in the club so far.
I appreciate everything you've done so far.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I'm excited for the future. I know we're going to do huge things, and we'll come back and share in 2 weeks how exactly you felt after your move. I'm excited to do that too. So we'll interview you again, Chris. I want to, after the phone's back in working order.
Well, then his back stops hurting from moving and all that good stuff.
Right.
So they realized he had 17 years worth of stuff at his office.
Oh yeah.
What'd you have in there? Just kidding.
You wouldn't be surprised. I found all kinds of stuff.
I know. We collect.
We tend to throw things away. So, Shelley, I'll see you later.
There, guys.
Shelley.
Your call.
Yeah, so as Chris, I know how it goes. It's like all of a sudden you start accumulating all this crap that you had at the office. You're like, oh, well, I guess I don't need that anymore. It's probably 10 years old or some of these old files. But
just looking at some of the marketing, some of the evolution of like the marketing I did, and like the changes in logos and changes in branding, just all that stuff. It's kind of fun to see, to go down memory lane and like look at all that stuff. Just to see how much we've evolved, and you have to change with the industry. I mean,
and then it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. What you had said, like, hey, that transition of time, like it's not easy to say, hey, I'm going to change broker. Just like when I did, I was like, all right, now I'm going to close up. I've fought for all those years to go independent, and now all of a sudden, now we're going back to a corporate company.
Right.
And I had a friend's like, oh, you just changed after a year. I was like, well, that was 3 years. He's like, 3 years?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, but it took me 2 years of thinking about it, whether, I wanted to make, drop my ego and say, hey, I think this is much better off for my agents and myself long-term, and long-term wealth more so than anything else. Like, all right, rather than paying up the line, why don't we collect along the way too, as we help the company grow? And I think that, I had conversation, I'm sure you've had a lot lately too, but I had a conversation with a past client, and he's like, how come you changed EXP? I'm like, all right, it's not a quick, easy answer. It's like, all right, because there's a lot of benefits to it.
Right.
You look at, hey, if we help them grow, we get paid on revenue share, and then we actually get stock along the way, and then you get stock back once you cap, and then you can take 5% of your income and buy it at 10% discount. So it was like, I think all those things were stuff that resonated with you as well.
Oh yeah.
Going through it.
But I also wanted it to be better for my clients, and the technology and what I've seen of the website and the social media platforms that they have. I mean, that's where people want their houses marketed, and that's where we're finding the clients. And I mean, this industry is getting younger too. I mean, so I feel like that you have to be in front of the age range that's making the moves, and you need to help. They need to know that when they call you, that you're on the level they are of communication. I always try to ask my clients, what do you prefer? Do you prefer text, call, email? Because you need to know your client, or you could communicate with them for a long time, and they say, we never got your message, because you never knew how they communicated. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, then this gives you international exposure. So if you have somebody that's buying in another area or selling somewhere, you have all those resources to go to now too, rather than like as a smaller independent, you don't have quite the same resources.
Well, that was a big thing too. One of my agents is thinking about eventually he wants to retire south, and I said, well, this is great for you, because once you get in, the systems, we can call down and find you somewhere, wherever you're moving to, and there's probably going to be an agent close by. I mean, a team close by or an office close by if you want to do that. And even I know some people in Canada, and you can go up to Canada, and it's another whole big market. Pennsylvania, I was talking to friends from high school, and a friend of mine lives in Virginia still. He's an agent friend in Pennsylvania. I talked to him. He's heard about it and thought about it. So I mean, it's really easy to go across state lines.
That along with one cap. So if you were here and you got licensed in Pennsylvania and Delaware and so forth, you can be all those areas and just be in one cap, rather than having to pay multiple caps to other brokerages.
Right.
Whether it be to independents or a lot of the other ones, they don't cap it at a one set fee of $16K. So
right.
Or your team, and then team caps go to quarter and half. So depending on the size. So any last words? I know we've been on here for about a half hour, so I don't want to eat up all your time either.
No, I'm excited. I'm really excited to go. Like I said, I'm as hard as I've worked, moving and making changes, I know it's still going to be worth it. I feel like it's an investment in the future. I'm still, but it hasn't worn me out. Like I still physically felt a little worn down, but when I woke up the next day, I had a renewed energy, ready to go and, see what the next adventure would be. It hasn't been easy. Even back to, I have a best friend in onboarding, because there's my cousin. So there was another Christian. And I remember when you called me and said, hey, they just called me and said that Chris Drewer came back to EXP, and you were confused. And that was just like, well, I mean, we had the same exact first and last name, and the middle name is different. And I mean, we grew up together, like in the same area, and we're 10 days apart. And it was funny that,
wow,
that it wasn't, I mean, it's something common that could happen with this system. It's because you're just typing in someone's name, but they figured it out really quickly. And I talked to someone at onboarding, and that's the thing. I could call with there's one person who I can talk to, and she'll call me back if he's not there. And that's amazing for me to think about how many people are onboarding this company. And I got one person to deal with the same. When I call back, it's the same person every time. She's almost a personal onboarder for me.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, then they assign a concierge to you too. So there's somebody to like help you through the process. But the good thing is like we usually rely back on, hey, who do we know? Who do we need to go to? And let's just get it fixed. But also just going into the world and clicking in there and then go to the broker or one of the assistants or liaisons there. They'll help you through all of it. Like, oh, let me get so-and-so, here you go. So it's much faster than I expected as well.
Yeah, it's been easy to do. And it's not like you have to talk to someone through the world. I'll go in there and I'll see the broker and he'll call me back or text me back on his phone. I mean, it's not like that we're only doing communication in the EXP world.
Yeah, he's been really responsive. I remember, some of the others, we were texting back and forth with him, joint text, trying to figure something out. And we're like, it's 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday and he's still responding to us, which, some people don't really want to respond that late at night on a Sunday.
Well, he was teaching a virtual class on a Monday night at 7 o'clock. And that's the thing I like too. Like there was 4 people in that class he was teaching just because it was a Maryland class only. And I think it was about listening presentations. But I thought about it and I thought, he can do that class for 4 or he could do it for 50, but it doesn't change how much it costs him to do it really.
Right.
Because, in the technology in a world, he's either talking to 4 or 50, but it really doesn't change anything for him. Yeah. And that's really amazing to think about nowadays. When you go back to in person, how much it costs to do stuff.
Go somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. You go in the auditorium. Brent had done a presentation in an auditorium last week and I wanted to go and watch. There was like 550 people in there. I didn't have to leave my office. I could just go in, click and go watch it.
You didn't have to go into the auditorium, find a seat, make sure you're spaced out, and then you leave and you got all this time. I mean, that's really cut down a lot of my, and even with the association volunteering, we used to drive a lot. I'd drive to different associations, drive to Annapolis, and cutting that off has cut every meeting I've done is cut down from 2 hours. It used to be 4 hours, now it's 2 hours because there's no hour each way drive time, which is more efficient. And I think you limit the pool of your talent if you require people to come in, because if they're busy agents and top producers, they're not going to want to do that. They're going to want to still contribute, but that's just too much time for them. So that's what I tried to do even at the local board with continuing education. I mean, we've had tons of people go through that from their home or their office and still stay up to date. So
yeah, like we do our role play in the morning, and that one day when we were at the office and I was like, oh, like, what are you guys doing? I said, I'm just listening to my everybody's role playing, because we did Zoom. Some are in the office and the rest are on Zoom, but we could hear it, and that way we can record it. And then if somebody says something like, hey, you should have done it this way, we can send them the recording later too and let them listen to it and do, oh, I could hear myself now. So I think just for training purposes, there's so much that can be done with technology. Just, are you making use of it or not? I mean, this EXPs kind of leverage themselves with that. Like, here you go. You don't need all the brick and mortar, but some people want to work out of office. And more people are working from home than ever. I mean, when you're talking to clients, how many of them are like, oh yeah, we're working from home. We have flexibility in our schedule. We want to go look at this house at 3 o'clock, 3:15 works. It doesn't matter if it's 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock. They're ready to go whenever, especially as busy as the market is. So technology is evolving all of our lives. So I think that's such a feed in the EXP. So.
Well, you used to say, the saying used to be, you can't be 2 places at one time, but you actually were listening to a training at your office and you were live at another office doing something else. And so you were in 2 places at one time.
Yeah. Amazing how technology is evolving so fast.
Right.
So you want to be on the leading edge or the not so leading edge on there. So, all right. Anything else that we missed?
I think that's it. I mean, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, it's just been, so far it's been great. I think better than I thought it would be, because I had pain about moving, but that really isn't something that should be concerning, because and I like to do everything, like, I'm pretty OCD, so I want to have everything in a line, and to not have everything go right, can be frustrating, but that's life though. I mean,
yeah. You get up every morning and you never know what the next minute turns out to be. So all you can do is 1 foot in front of the other and, make that leap and move forward in the direction you want to head in.
But I look forward to working with you and some other guys. I mean, that we've all been in this industry for a long time. Yeah. It seems like we've all never landed at the same brokerage together, but we've all talked and mastermind together. So that's a really exciting part, I think, of getting everyone together. It's really going to be
too. Yeah. Yeah.
And we all push each other. We all push each other in different ways. So
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good afternoon. I'll
You
see
too,
you
Lee.
in a couple days.
Thanks a lot, Lee.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.